The monies that went into those bank accounts came from the proceeds of sales of arms to Iran, from Country 3, directly or indirectly from Spitz Channels organizations, a little bit from the government of Israel, and one deposit from Joseph Coors. And my question to you, isn't it true that you were responsible for directing all of that money into those accounts?
My sense is that the ones you have just identified, except that I don't know that it's the government of Israel, I believe it was an Israeli private citizen, I would agree that I am the person that caused that money to go into those accounts.
I'd like to turn now to Country 2. You have that country in mind?
I do.
Did you ever have any meetings with officials of Country 2 in which the subject of money for the Contras arose?
No.
Did you ever ask Mr. Secord to have a meeting with the representative of Country 2 for the purpose of discussing contributions for the Contras?
I don't recall whether I asked him or he suggested, but nonetheless, such a meeting did indeed occur.
And did you have authority?
At least I am told that such a meeting did occur. I was not present at the meeting, but I did talk to him before about it, and I believe I talked to him after about it. At least it was reported to me that way.
And was that meeting known to Mr. McFarland?
Yes.
And was it, were you authorized in advance to either ask or consent to Mr. Secord making that request?
I'm sure that I was, yeah.
And to your knowledge, had Mr. McFarland had similar meetings with representatives of Country 2?
I do not know to this day whether he did or not.
Well, did he tell you that he did?
No, he did not.
Did he tell you anything on that subject?
You're asking me, let me get the bottom line of this thing. You're asking me, do I know where the initial $25 million came from? To this day, I do not. I simply gave Mr. McFarland a card, and on that card was an account number, and money there shortly thereafter started to flow to that account. And I don't know whether it was Country 2 or not. And that is also part of a covert operation. I didn't need to know that. In a compartmented covert operation, my job was to get an account number for the Nicaraguan resistance to receive monies.
Well, let me ask it to you this way. Did you...
Please. Please. And that's important, I think, to the American people understanding a covert operation. There are boxes within boxes to protect the operation. You know, one of the things that disturbs me about the way this is proceeding is that we constantly are coming back to the fact that the American people haven't been told everything. You're not going to make public all of this stuff when you get done with it either. I hope. I mean, there's top secret code word documents that I've seen for the first time today in years that I'm now having to look through. I pray to God you're not going to turn all these loose. You know, even after the Russians got the secrets of our satellites from a spy, we didn't publish them in our periodicals. The congressional committees didn't make them public for everybody to read. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the fact that Mr. McFarland compartmented off parts of the program for his knowledge and that others in the program didn't know everything else that everyone else knew. There's nothing wrong with that in a covert operation. That's how they're conducted, and it's the right way to do it, to protect lives and the people engaged in it. And lives are important.
Did you tell Mr. Secord that Mr. McFarland had already had a meeting with the official?
No, because I didn't know, and I do not know that for confirmed knowledge to this day that Mr. McFarland met with that official from Country 2. I do know that at some point further down the line, Mr. McFarland asked me to tell General Secord to back off his contacts with the person from Country 2. And he did so.
And subsequently, money came in.
It did.
Are you aware of anyone else in the government that had meetings with Country 2 or representatives of Country 2 on the subject of contributions for the country?
I have no personal knowledge that anybody other than General Secord, and I only know that because he told me, met with representatives of Country 2. And at the time, General Secord was not a part of the United States government.
Are you aware of any approaches to Country 9 seeking support for the Contras?
I can recall that there was a discussion about that country between General Secord and I. I don't believe that anybody in the U.S. government ever approached them.
Did Mr. Secord?
I know he approached them on the issue of terrorism. I don't recall whether or not he actually approached them on the issue of aid to the Nicaraguan resistance. No, I don't recall. You may be able to refresh my memory, but I don't remember that.
Let's take a look at exhibit number 78.
There has been much speculation about these countries and these numbers, and it's been fairly widely reported in the press over the last many months that Country 1 was Israel. Country 2 was Saudi Arabia. There's been much discussion of Saudi Arabian aid to the Contras, and Country 3 was Taiwan.
From Rich?
Yes.
No particular reason that we can tell today why it's being referred to by numerically again, except that's the way the committees have done it. As to Country 9, cannot help you.
Well, Rich could be a number of people, but...
Is it Richard Miller?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know Rich Armitage, Rich Miller. I know several other Riches. Do you have the pages that precede and succeed that?
I can supply it to you if you wish. I do not believe it's going to shed any light.
Well, again... Does this, after the Rich, my copy is very difficult to read, Counsel.
There are some
call
circled,
from Rich.
There are some circled words there which should not be read.
I understand that. But what is right after Rich? It looks like a squiggle. Or is it?
Ray.
Re, okay. I think that may well be, given the first circled name, that may well be Richard Miller, not Richard Secord.
And it refers down at the bottom, well, first of all, I take it Country 9 is
circle
mentioned,
right?
And there's a reference, could be as much as $4 to $5 million.
Right.
Does that refer to a prospective contribution to the Contras?
I do not recall this conversation, but I do recall the circle is a code name for one of the people that was in contact with us initially, of all things, on the hostage matter. And it turns out this guy is a bad apple. At one point, Director Casey was concerned that this fellow might be a provocation. In any event, this man never produced anything. Talked a lot. Did nothing.
Well, now, if you'll turn to Exhibit 79.
Did I answer the question on who that Rich was? I do not believe. First of all, I never referred to General.
You said you thought it was Richard Miller.
Yes.
And if you turn to exhibit number 79. You have that in front of you. It's another page from your notebook dated 24 September 1985. And down at the bottom it says call from Dick. And then there are some numbers. And below that it says meeting with country 9, people tomorrow, 1C7, ready now. What does that refer to?
I don't know. It could be that, again, I recall